and water work together to create new chemical compositions that create more flavor. And basically the alcohol begins to join up with flavor molecules, creating these long, complex chains that give you richness. And this happens whether or not oak is there. So all of these chemical interactions are also happening in an oak barrel while also getting oak flavors. The flavor of maturity is very different than the flavor of oak. So our New England white rum, or our soon to be released When in Rum, delicious white rum we made with Kate
When's
Carey.
that coming?
Really soon, really soon. We got the TTB label approval. Pardon?
We put that on the truck with Brock's order and the Florida Rum Society pick.
I'll ask Brock, but we'll take it offline. So all of our rum that is released at all, especially our white rums, are aged in stainless steel for a minimum of 3 months. So it rests and goes through that process. And then for us, when we do our New England white rum or our When in Rum or our Tres Aromatiques, or the Habitation white, which will be popping up, we just bottle that. So what's sitting in that tank, it comes off the still, it sits in a tank. We add the last little bit of water, we're done. No filtration, no sweetening, no mouthfeel agents, no glycerin, nothing. It's just spirit water time. So when we meet other distillers, this is often what they're most interested in, because all of our consistency is coming from our skill and tasting and processes. It's not being standardized by a flavor additive. It's not being standardized by a filtration method. It's all just us doing the work. So that's kind of exciting. Here's our barrel aging. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I have one question.
Yes.
So what comes when you do your fermentation, you're coming out at 9%. That seems high. A lot of distillers, I think I may be wrong, but it seems like they come off at like 5, 6, 7%. Is that?
So for the world of distilling, we're incredibly low. In whiskey, it's usually 12, 13. I've even seen 19%. But when you're fermenting, it depends on the style of fermentation. If you're doing like Don Q or Bacardi, you're going to ferment pretty high. Okay. If you're doing something like a really, really heavy mark in Jamaica out of blackstrap, so blackstrap is not very fermentable. So you can only ferment so high before all of the concentration of the impurities in the blackstrap stall out the fermentation. And then if you're going through a very large bacterial conversion, like a 21-day fermentation to create all of these tangy vinegar flavors, the alcohol actually begins to degrade. So they'll end up around 5 or 6%, but those are really only the super heavy, sour, long fermentations that are made in very specific marks in Jamaica. The average fermentation is usually 11, 12%. For me, if we get above 9, the yeast begin to get a little stressed and they release hormones I don't really like that create some off flavors. But it means we lose some efficiency. I don't mind. I want quality. I'm not out there to be like, how do I squeeze every drop? I want to get the best drops. So for us, it's a little low actually for the industry. I would say people often when we do shadow days with distillers are surprised we ferment so low.
I'm probably thinking back to maybe Zan and some of the things that they're doing in Hamden, Worthy Park or maybe Hamden.
Yeah, and only some of their marks there. They're common clean, they're fermenting up high.
Yeah.
But they're like DOK, they're fermenting really low. So it's all about how they're building that fermentation and how long it is and what the style is. But yeah, great question. Great question. In the world of whiskey, ours would be pretty low. And in brandy and cognac, it would be very, very low. It'd be almost like, yeah, they would probably want to be around 13%. So here's our cellars. We use, nothing is released under 2 years and nothing is really aged in any small casks. They're usually made from inferior wood. They're usually kiln dried as opposed to air dried. We get all air dried casks because seasoning the wood for 2 years out in the elements really creates a lot of really important chemical conversions that we want for flavor. So the wood is already 2 years old before they even make a barrel for us. And we get New American oak, number 2 and number 3 char. We get used bourbon barrels. We use our own used rum casks, and used brandy, used cognac, and used scotch. I always get asked, well, used rum cask, what distillery is it from? I'm like, it's ours.
They're own.
Doesn't mean I'm not trying to convince Zan every day that we should do a cask exchange. So
Yes.
and our cellars are attached to our distillery. So there's no central warehousing. So like in Jamaica, there's a lot of central warehousing. They all ship their barrels to the same facility, Appleton, Worthy Park. They all age them together. In Scotland, this is incredibly common. All the barrels are kind of aged in the same spot in a lot of central warehousing. Ours are not. Ours are all aged on site at the distillery where it was fermented, where it was distilled, where it was aged, and where it was bottled is all the same spot. And I think people are always surprised to find out how rare that is in the distilling world.
Yes, I'm actually surprised to find that out. Not that you guys had yours, but that other people send theirs.
I don't need that either.
Jack wanted to know if you ever sell your old barrels to breweries.
So we reuse and reuse and reuse our barrels. So we don't often resell our barrels. Notch Brewing has had a beer in our barrels for years. And for anyone who knows New England beer, Hill Farmstead is really the only place we give barrels to. And that's just so we can get beer without having to stand in line for 8 hours with everyone else.
I don't know where Zach, I don't know where you live. However, I don't think this is a spoiler alert, but we actually, so myself and some other people worked with 5 Star here in Orlando, and we'll talk about it, to do a barrel of Privateer, but we have the barrel, and Sam, who's the store owner, it has beer in it right now. So in 6 months, we will actually a Privateer beer that will be
cool.
for sale. So get in touch. I'll make sure everyone knows when it's going to come out. But it will definitely. So it's not the first, but maybe the first in Florida. Sounds like possibly. So I'll keep everyone posted.
Awesome. I would love to promote that too. So let me know.
I will keep you posted. I know that Andrew's already on the list to get the first case, so we'll make sure it happens.
He's a big beer geek, so he'll love that. Our entry proof is 110 proof. So in the Caribbean, it's usually 140, 160. It's much higher proof. And all of our spirit is matched to the cask suited for it. So at the end of the day, the distillation is tasted. And Peter, who is our barrel granddad, he tastes it, marries it to the exact barrel it should be in. Does it have really heavy, rich flavors that would go really well in a new American oak cask? Or is it a little more subtle and reserved and could really use some of the fruitiness and florality of a used brandy cask? Questions like that he answers. We get very large temperature and humidity swings, which is really important for us. Our proof goes far up in winter, up around 125, and down in the summer around 105. So we get really big shifts, and that's because when it's very, very dry, water is evaporating, and when it's very, very humid, more alcohol is evaporating. So we get that constant shift, which is really important for the terroir of our spirit. We do very minimal temperature control inside our barrel warehouse. Essentially, we keep it above 40 degrees so our emergency sprinklers won't freeze, but that's it. We have a sensor set right to that limit for the sprinklers. And then, yes, all water post-distillation is reverse osmosis water, like any distillery in the world.
Use water from the Charles?
Oh, no. We use Ipswich water, so.
Ipswich?
The wicked Ipswich water. Yeah. It's,
Meredith, before you move on from barrels, Meredith wanted to know, she said she's heard you address it before, but she forgets or wants to hear it again, why the barrels are sideways instead of upright.
Yeah, great question. This is actually like a big quality thing. I've read a number of studies on it, and it also just makes sense. Meredith, are you ready for me to do a drawing? I know you love my drawings.
You get it, Boss Ross.
That's right, Boss Ross. Let me see.
I like that Maggie's not going to use the technology. Like there's a whiteboard thing you could draw.
No, I draw.
I like this better.
It's like it's kind of a dorky AMA thing that happens.
I like your still drawings.
Thanks. I love those.
They should have put your still drawing on the Velier bottles, because that would have been funny.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious. And you know what? Luca probably would have gone for it if I'd said so.
I know. Oh, ideas that are too late.
Next time.
Jay, 6 months ago.
There'll be, well, there'll be more though. I have no doubt.
Oh, good. So when a barrel ages on its side, there's a lot more surface area. And that surface area gets bigger and bigger as there's more evaporation. And that surface area is really important for that oxidation and esterification. It's so important for flavor creation. Whereas when it's on its side, it doesn't change. It stays really stagnant and it's really small. It also makes it difficult to taste samples. And I am just someone who tastes a lot of samples, and I like to go back and watch and change and grow and put notes in my little barrel journal. Dear Diary, P509 is tasting like an ice cream sundae. It's delicious. So yeah, or I need to retaste or come back. I very much like that. But yeah, that surface level is really important. And then when they're stacked really accessible the way we have them, I can walk in, open any barrel and pull a sample in 30 seconds. I don't have to dig out palletized rum. And it also changes the rate of evaporation, because when they're all cramped in there, there's actually less evaporation than when they're fully exposed to air across the whole skin of the barrel like we have. So yeah, it takes up a lot more space. It's a lot more expensive, but I think the flavor difference is really significant. I finally saw some meaningful studies about it, and it made me again reaffirm my passion for aging on the side as opposed to palletized. I totally understand that palletizing often in the rum industry is a result of minimal land. When you're on an island, there's only so much land, and I have nothing but respect and understanding for that tradition. I don't have that limitation, so I'm gonna go for it. It's America. We got America, wide open fields. We've got space. That's what we've got. So everything is hand bottled on site by us, and every label is put on by hand. So if you see like a bottle of the New England white rum, on the back you'll see a signature. That is the signature of the person who labeled that bottle. The people who label our bottles are local parents from the Parent Teacher Association. They drop their kids off at school. We have very set open hours. We turn up music. We make them mini cocktails. They tell us the town gossip and what's happening on TV. They bring really good energy into the distillery, and it's a really great way for a working parent to be able to like pick up some shifts and get paid. Their kid's sick and they have to stay home, no big deal. If they want to come in one day but not another, it's totally fine. And then if they donate any of their shifts to the school, we rematch that donation back again. So we're always writing checks to the local schools, which they love. It's good for us, good currency with the town. And yeah, so every single one is hand applied still to this day. And we plan to keep it that way.
So awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, it's different. The hand filling, the hand corking, the hand labeling, but it means we really see and feel each bottle, which is so important. Our still could be fully automated. And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want anything automated. Most stills are fully automated, and we have to make every decision by hand on our still. And we really love that connection.
And because of, in the times of COVID, right? So
Right.
Andrew was bottling some stuff. He was telling me that he'd not really do that, but he was saying that he was in there bottling some stuff a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been him and like one other dedicated person that he already lives with. That's his quarantine. So we have like our quarantine. Thank goodness me and another distiller live together. We're like, we can work together. We're fine. So we've been very, very cautious in taking care of our people, spacing out work, creating work teams, keeping everyone's equipment separate. you know, I'm really glad we've taken care of our people. I think that we've all seen how a lot of companies handled it, and some people took care of their people and some people didn't. So I'm very proud of how we've come through it as far as that care. Yeah, so I'm going to open the chat. I see there's 94, so let me know if there's anything I need to know.
I'm trying to keep up with it, but someone did just point out about the calligraphy on the label.
Yeah, so the calligraphy
I
is
thought that was amazing.
hand inked by an artist, a calligraphy artist, which is wild. That is, I'm like, holy moly. She sends us a couple images. Do we like the way this G looks? Should she do it differently? And I'm like, you're the expert, do whatever you want. So it's all hand inked by a calligrapher. So yeah. Oh, it's a
Golden Hour 71, the Missy and Joe. What do you want to say about that?
This is the oddest rum I think I've ever had. It tastes like wine. It tastes like white wine, Maggie. What's up with that?
Which one is it?
The Golden Hour.
Oh yeah, doesn't it kind of taste like a Viognier or something?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of like apricot and sultana, which is just a fancy distiller way of saying golden raisin and hay. I love that rum glow. It's dangerous. It's like very dangerous, like bull.
Yeah.
What I'm drinking right now, Rum Glow.
Good. Oh yeah, I see someone is from Annette's from Beverly Farms. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of the Cabot family because I see the nod.
Yeah. One of actually I was at Endicott for 3 years, and one of the dorms was the Cabot dorm, and then they renamed it later.
Yeah, exactly. The Cabots are like, it's funny because I'm not from New England, right? So I'm like, I don't care whoever you are, it probably counts against you that you're so fancy. And I think they really love that because like they know that I care deeply for them because of who they are. And I'm just like, whatever, I don't know your little poems. So.
Is the Cabot Theater still around in Beverly? Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the big marquee, they were restoring it last year, and Andrew was like, if you ever get rid of it, guys, like we're putting that outside the distillery. Yeah, there's a huge marquee. It says Cabot, like etched out in lights. It's really beautiful.
Glorious. It was the best 3 years spent. So best 3 years spent in Beverly. We fought to live off campus. It was fun.
Good. Someone asked about the Crosby's. The Fancy is the grade A. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, the Eskimo Brothers is delicious.
All right, so I was going to say, Brock at Liquor Locker still has his pick, which is what I'm drinking right now. But then he has a few of the others that we've mentioned, Golden Hour, Bottled and Bond, a few others.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Greg, too. I appreciate that. Sorry, what, Jay?
No, then I was going to say, and then Brock's getting a new shipment of a number of things. I know you guys have seen it. And then along with that, 5 Star has partnered with us here in Orlando to do a pick. And so we're going to pick, we went with it's labeled Queen Share, but we decided it was actually New England rum. That was 100% molasses. It's going to be 2 years, 10 months by the time it was bottled. And so I have this little bit left that I'm holding on to until the 200 and something bottles get here. So we'll make sure that everyone knows when that gets here too, because we're excited about that arrival.
Is there any time frame on that, Jay?
So I talked to Andrew like today, and he was like, don't overpromise, but like August is what we're thinking. So not long.
Not long. If he took your call today, that's like real love. Because it is like, it's Boston, right? And it's like within at all range of 4th of July. And it doesn't even matter that no one is going out or whatever. Like the entire company, like Richard Seal sent me a text this morning. Hey, can we talk about this conference we're doing? I'm like, well, I'll touch base with my team on Monday. Like, I can't reach anyone. No one is working. I'm sure Annette knows this. Like, everything shuts down for days.
In fairness to Andrew, he took my email. He didn't take my call.
That is still incredibly generous.
So he said, so here's where we're at. It's all bottled because we wanted to bottle it where we tasted it, which makes sense. So it's all bottled. The label has been approved by the people that approve the label. So now, so
Yeah.
time for printing, time for labeling, and then time for shipping down to us. So he thinks 3 to 4 weeks, or it's realistic.
I would say 2 to 3, but he's being cautious of your expectations.
I feel like he said 3. I said I won't say. I'll say early August, so I keep it general. And now you're saying 2 to 3. So maybe it'll be here next week. Who knows?
Yeah,
We're hoping in the next, but before summer's over for sure. Let's say that. So we're excited. I'll keep everyone posted, of course.
Yeah.
200 and I think 256 bottles. He said 250 bottles, something around there.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Maggie, this 5-year queen share is to die for. Man, this
High proof, eh?
It's awesome.
Good.
Wow.
Good.
Really like it.
I'm so glad you enjoy it. It's like definitely our most like serious professional. Like if I met Richard Steele today, I would be like, taste this one.
Yeah, 65.8 ABV.
Yeah. Whew.
Up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's really cool about it, there's, a lot of these, sometimes they have a really high proof like that. You get a really burn on the backside. You don't. This is smooth. It's really nice.
Thanks. Yeah, over those 5 years, it's just evaporated through so many of those harsh alcohols that hopefully what's left is really well integrated. And yeah, I tasted that rum. I didn't take the strength. I said, absolutely, let's do this. Let's bottle this. This is ready to go. And my Dylan Turner, our managing distiller, called and goes, did you check the proof on this when you approved harvesting it? And I was like, no, what do you mean? He's like, it's our highest strength bottling to date. So
see, I don't want water. I don't want water added to my rum. Do not do that. So when I see 40% on a bottle anymore, I just bypass it. I'm like, really? Yeah, I want the real deal.
good.
So thank you.
Good. I'm so glad you enjoy. Does anyone else have any questions, any thoughts? I don't want to keep you too long. It's beautiful out, I expect there.
It's hot.
It's all hot.
Yeah.
Maggie, I have a question.
Hot here, yeah.
Maggie, do you have a favorite from the Distiller Drawer series that you've done or hand selected? And do you have a favorite that is not been selected by you?
Great question. From this round, my personal boo is a Rum Glow. Overall period, there was one called Sea Witch that I really, really, really loved. And we made a little bit of, I shouldn't even say these words, we made a little bit of peach brandy once, years ago. We had a bumper crop. A local farmer called us. We got perfect peaches. It sold out in 45 minutes. And I was really proud of that one because peaches are, because of the pectin content, very difficult to distill. And so I got to show my chops as a brandy maker from my experience at Germain Robin while fermenting this really difficult fruit. And just kind of show, it was just kind of once you get to know me, I think some of the people who've known me a while on here will know the satisfaction of being oh yeah, we just made this one for fun. And it's excellent and really hard to make, and being oh yeah, we just did that for fun. So it felt really good to be to do that little flex and make something kind of cool and have it sell out so fast. Now, 7 years later, I probably get asked every week if we're going to make it again. So I'm paying the price, but I'm very happy that it turned out well. I'm really proud of it. It was very technically correct on such a difficult spirit to make. So that's one time where I'll allow myself to toot my own horn and be I loved that. It turned out well. When you tasted it, it tasted the fresh skin of a peach to, the peach blossom to dried peaches to peach flesh. Every aspect of a peach was kind of captured on the nose, which is the goal of a real authentic brandy. So just kind of getting to do something different too. As far as I would say, I have like a very sweet spot for Garrigue. I don't know if anyone on here has Garrigue. You have Garrigue? Yeah, Meredith has Garrigue.
I have Garrigue.
I might have a backup too. I'll be accepting offers.
Meredith, do you have any tasting notes? Like, do you remember anything specific about Garrigue that you noticed when you tasted it?
Yeah, it was very different from the expressions that I had previous to that. And it was not offhand. I mean, I could pour some real quick.
No
but
worries.
I know Brian is on the call as well. I had recommended it to Adam in California, and Adam had recommended it to Brian, who's also in California. And it just kind of like, it was a slow kind of creeper. And then all of a sudden everyone realized how good it was. It was rich in a different way than all of the other Privateer releases were. It really leaned more like whiskey than anything else I'd had. And it was it's still one of my like top 5 of all time. It's funny because Pete's got a couple rums in my top 5. Don't tell him.
He's a great distiller. And so that one, that was distilled by Pete. So at the distillery, if they bring me a blind sample, I can tell you which one of our distillers distilled it. Everyone has their style. It's a joke at the distillery that like Maggie just knows. And that one to me, it tastes just like Pete's rum. It's like the quintessential when Pete is running the still rum. And it has this, so Garrigue is a term for the wild sagebrush that grows on the sandstone in the Mediterranean. So like dried thyme, dried sage, like very like rustic and earthy and savory, not at all sweet, not at all fruity, like sandstone and dried thyme.
Very dry on the nose. It doesn't smell sweet at all. You're right. It's very herby.
It has like a desert, a desert herb, smell to it. And so we always joke that like if my rums are like these very delicate, what we would call like a Vouvray or a Sancerre, or like that style of wine, like very delicate, structured, pristine, Grand Cru Chablis wines. His are Southern Italian red wines, like very rustic and very sincere. And they just have that desert brush smell to them. Yeah.
L'Alliance.
Yeah, L'Alliance. So L'Alliance will have a little note of that in there too.
Awesome.
It'll be an undertone in there. But the Garrigue to me, it screams like that's that. So when I have it, it's like a little sweet treat to be like, oh, this is like so quintessentially his style. So that one's like something I really love that someone else picked. And it's funny if Dylan brings me a sample. So if they were all to set out samples of what they liked, Dylan and I pick out very similar casks, which is why he's been really trained in the cask tasting. Whereas Pete will pick something totally different than anything we'll pick. It's great. He's got a great palate, but his like structure and style is just totally different. So I really like that. When you taste them separately by distiller, like you get to on the distiller's drawer, it's really special because you get to know each person's style pretty well. Whereas when we marry them together, we get great complexity. But even in the Navy yards, like I could tell you who distilled which Navy yard. It's much more subtle. Those are not the ones we select. When we get a distiller's drawer, it's because it has a lot of personality. So yeah.
Cool.
Maggie, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Brian, what's up?
Hi. So, given your wine background, how do you feel about aging rum in unfortified wine casks?
I really worry about it because of the sulfur that's used in winemaking. I actually worry about it in fortified wine casks too. This is something I've talked quite a bit about, but there's a lot of chemistry that goes into how the human palate perceives sulfur, and one of the most important things is acidity. Wine has a lot of acidity, spirits do not. The pH is totally different. And so, you can hide 220, 300 parts per million of sulfur in a wine that has a pH of say 3.2. But when you have a spirit at 6.8, you're going to taste it at 1 part per million, and it's going to taste bad. So for me, I've had a lot of wine cask finished spirits that are sulfur damaged. Like they smell like matchsticks or cabbage, or the nose is really muted, or it's just not right. And And that's why, you know, I really love that Richard Seal is not in it for the wine finish. He actually steams the barrels pretty aggressively to get them to release all of the wine in them, because he wants the old oak. And old oak has like such a delicious flavor. And I think that's why his turn out really well. But yeah, I've had a lot of sulfur damaged spirits. So I'm very cautious about it. Also, there's over 220 chemical additives allowed in wine, like Mega Purple and Opti Red and all these things. And the chemistry of wine is different than the chemistry of spirits and the way chemicals interact when you mix them with different things, you know, high alcohol, low pH, or sorry, high alcohol, high pH, or low alcohol, low pH. Those are different solutions. They'll have different chemical interactions. So I'm a little weary of it myself personally.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I feel like that's one of the few skills I have coming from a very technical wine making background, is that like, it's one of the few things I understand well that I think I can offer to a lot of my peers who are struggling. They're like, it's not quite right. It's not quite right. And especially because like I am of European descent, and 1 in 5 people who are of European descent are missing the genetics to identify sulfur. So it might smell okay to them, but it's not okay to someone else. I've been tested for sulfur as a professional wine taster. I know I'm hypersensitive, but not everyone is tested or knows. I quite love, this is between us squirrels. I quite love Glenfarclas, but I don't buy it anymore because I've had so many sulfur tainted bottles. It's like, it was like my favorite Scotch, and it's just gotten to a level where it's a little, the sherry casks that they're using, I don't know what's going on there. I just am getting a lot of sulfur bombs on them. Any other questions?
There was one that said, what other American producers are you impressed with?
Oh, cool. Great question. You know, this always sounds like faint praise, but it's not. It's very, very big praise. I think Rouleazan, they make the best rum they ever could on their equipment. They're very bootstrap set up themselves. But the rum they make, like you taste it and you look at their still, which like plugs into the wall like a curling iron, and you're like, how does this taste so good? But it tastes great. And not every distillery starting up in America makes the best product they could with their equipment. So big ups to Rouleazan. I really love Richland rum. I think he's really honest and sincere and genuine and skilled and been doing it a long time. And he uses all estate cane, which is so rare. And yeah, oh, Rusticator. Has anyone here had Rusticator? Okay, Meredith, I like next time we cross paths, because we cross paths a lot, and then I'll have to get a care package down to Florida if it doesn't look like I'm going to travel soon. But Rusticator, Wayne Curtis asked me to come up to this distillery in Maine to see some rum maker, and I was like, dude, this guy makes like blueberry wine. I'm not coming. And it's like way out there. I got there. It turns out he was distilling 40 years ago with Jorg from St. George back in Austria. He's brilliant. He has a very similar still to ours. He's aging 2 barrels a year, really fine French oak wine barrels. His rum is like, it's really, really beautiful, but he makes like 800 bottles a year, and you can only buy it in the state of Maine. And I was very thoroughly impressed with him. He's like, oh, I'm rebuilding this Indian motorcycle. I made the wheel myself. And he's just kind of one of those guys. He's got to be in his late 70s. I had dinner with his mother last year. She's 102. She played harp on all the old Motown records. Like, it's so cool. So yeah, they're like amazing people. They make great rum, but it's hard to find. Yeah, I would say those are the ones that come first to mind. It's been interesting how many people in the last year have reached out about, well, I want to make rum now. How's that work? I'm going to make an agricole in South Carolina. I'm like, no, you're not. That's not legally possible. But yeah, so it's been really, really interesting how many people want to get into it. So thanks, Brian.
We'll do a road trip to Privateer and then go up to Maine to get some of that and come back down. John's in.
I'm in.
We can actually do that. We can't travel to the Caribbean, but we can actually do this.
We are in
Right.
as long as it's in the summer months.
Right?
Summer months only.
All right, Missy says no winter.
Bring a tractor trailer.
Yeah.
Stop it. We've got a really good distillery here in Richmond, Viargo. Have you talked to those guys?
No.
Yeah, Viargo is doing some really amazing things in PX sherry casks, and they're doing some really cool stuff. It's pretty good.
Nice. I just had a distiller from Virginia reach out. They're going to try to make rum. And I always say, like, you know, I'll give you 1 hour totally free. You can ask me anything. And then, like, if I feel like they get it, I'm like, okay, cool. You can call me anytime. And they got it. And I was like, yeah, you can call me anytime. I'll help you anytime. So sometimes I'm like, and we're good. That's all the time I have. But they seemed really good. I'll shoot you their name when I'll look it up on my email. But they were really cool. I really appreciated them. So yeah, any other questions? Was this helpful at all? Okay, cool.
Fun.
Good. I'm a very accessible person, as some of you may know, at Half Pint Maggie on Instagram. If you want to see bread baking and cat photos.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. So
Do you
what?
have another cat named Meatball? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, so my husband has just really accepted the idea that maybe Meatball is coming.
Excellent.
That has always been my limit is 2 cats. We shall have no more than 2 cats. That's my healthy limit. And he's always like, you know, animals should be working animals. They're there to catch mice. That's their job. I'm like, it gets to sleep on my pillow with me. Let me dress it up in a tiki shirt. And so for him to like show affection towards a cat and be like, I think we should get another cat is like, 2020 is a weird year, you guys.
There's requests for more spaghetti photos and bread photos in the chat.
Okay.
You know that. So you're not doing enough, it seems. Though the spaghetti laying on a bed of spaghetti.
With the basil behind his ear, right? Oh my God, it was so cute. Yeah, a fan made that and it was amazing.
Of spaghetti laying on spaghetti because it's great. And then someone else said, we love you so much and we love that you add to the others. So you're now, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the seals on. So you're expected to be there is really what the theme of that quote was.
Oh my God, I have some photos of Richard from Christmas. They will be my background and it will be delightful. That's dying. I love it.
And hopefully y'all will be able to get Richard to dance for us.
I can't.
It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. I got him to dance to Wu-Tang Clan one time. It was fantastic. It's on video somewhere.
Find it.
I think that'd be scary.
That's so funny. Well, now it seems that Richard wants us all to move to Barbados and work for 12 months with their new visa program. That's where I got that from Richard's posting it. So, you know, maybe we'll all move to Barbados for a year.
Gail sent me some texts today. She's like, they can send you barrel samples here. I don't know.
Might be hard.
This is part of our exit plan for sure. It's coming together very nicely. When you're in Barbados, then the next island, and the next island.
Right. Just travel.
We'll take y'all in Jamaica. Come on down. No problem.
I know. We need to go to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Come on down. No problem.
Yes, please.
As long as we could transport our rum. There's the issue. I need a barge, but okay.
And we're bringing all this with us. All of this.
Hey, man, I ain't leaving this behind.
They have barges.
Yeah, the furniture can stay. The booze, no.
John, you have to take a page out of Ed Hamilton's book and just make a big have a big sailboat, and then you just travel the Caribbean with your rum as you go along.
Bring your own boat. You can build whatever you like.
BYOB.
Yeah.
Bring your own boat.
Bottles.
As an aside, we had to tint our house one time, and so I had to take the entire bar to Mom and Dad's house. It was crate after crate of booze, and Mom and Dad are looking at us like, "This is my son. Great." Crate after crate of booze.
Yeah.
We were still at around, I think, 120 different bottles, and moving from our old house to this one, and I think all of the liquor ended up at her house, her parents' house. I mean,
And my parents are like, what
are we gonna do?
do you need all this fun for?
Yeah.
It looks bad when it's put into boxes. It doesn't look bad when it's on the wall
Yeah.
like this.
Exactly.
When you
Perfectly
put it in
healthy.
boxes and it takes up the entire living room, and it's like, well, it's
They're like,
only
oh, you
300.
have a problem.
Yeah, it's only 300 bottles. I did an inventory after one of the hurricanes. 300. It's only 300 bottles. It's not that. I mean,
Just spread it out.
I'm close to 1,000. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
I've got a whole room of vault in my house that's full. And Maggie, you've contributed to it.
That makes me very proud. It's like
Yeah.
a big, for us to be considered like worthy of collecting is like beyond my mind.
It's a
So,
library. I don't collect. It's a library, and you check one out, and you put it back after you've tasted, and we're good. And you share.
yeah, I love that. I
like
love that. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate the time spent together. I'll certainly see you in 2 weeks when we harass the seals. And I make Richard laugh or smile. We gotta
And
get the
dance.
smiling and dance.
Oh, Maggie, make him laugh or smile.
Thank you, Maggie. Cheers.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank
Maggie,
you,
Maggie, I sent you an
Thank you,
email.
Maggie.
Can you check when you get a chance?
I will. I absolutely will.
Thank you,
Have
my
a great
dear.
weekend.
Have a great weekend, y'all.
hey, see
Take
everybody.
care.
Looking
Good
forward to
weekend.
crashing the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
So Jay, when is the next one?
2 weeks. I'll post it tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem. It's with the-
Thank you guys for being here. It's
Oh,
fun.
thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Jay.
Always happy to have everyone. We'll do it again. All right, I'm going to end it now.
All right, guys.
Cheers.